We will start here with the superintendent's report.
Thank you. We are getting ready. We're less than 2 weeks away from the start of school. We're staffing up, and I think we're getting really close to being fully there. We've got a few odds and ends positions, one that we're going to ask you to amend the agenda to help us with tonight in our migrant office. Online registration, I think, is going really well. I think the report I heard today was we have about 75% of our folks that have logged on and registered. I think the county schools who've been doing this a couple of years longer than we have with online, so they're a little more in the habit of it. I think they're about 78% today, we heard. So I think we're right in step with that. That's good. I think our enrollment is looking healthy, particularly in the middle school. We are unfortunately having to turn away kids that don't live in our district because we have a lot of interest in the middle school, and that's a good problem for us to have. But we'll have we'll be ready for the start. Chris will be sharing some information about our construction projects a little later on, but they're on track, and I think we're going to be able to make any adjustments that need to be made so that we can have kids in learning environments on day one. I think we're really excited. I know Dr. Constant's going to talk a little bit in his report about the administrative retreats and some of the work that was done there, as well as some of the restructuring that we're doing to support student services. So I'll yield my time for that as he does that report a little later. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for Dr. Brink? If there are none, then at this point we'll, I guess, make a motion to amend the agenda for a personnel action. You need to go into the details on.
Well, the personnel action would be a reclassification of our migrant position from certified to classified.
Okay.
And that will save money, so it wouldn't be adding a budget item, so it's a budget neutral, if not budget positive change.
I move that we amend the agenda to address the personnel action.
Second.
Is there a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, and we'll actually address that during the action items in the personnel actions in a minute. So at this point, we'll accept a motion to approve minutes for the regular meeting on June the 27th and well, we got to do them separate. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, and motion to approve the special call meeting on July the 11th.
I so move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on here to item number 4, the instruction report.
I'm happy to report that we have completed 2 really good days with our school leadership teams. We have a retreat annually, and we did that this past week. The first day was all around cultural competence, and you all well know that that has been thrown around as kind of the newest term for us to really wrap our arms around. And I have been looking for a long time for just that right speaker that's going to put a fire under us. And thankfully, I was able to get to the Neblett Center when they were considering the Western Academy idea in the inception of that, and heard Roz Akins there, and she went, after we got done with that day, I thought she's the right person. And so we got her to come and do a day of cultural competence with our school leadership teams. Heard really, really good things. Still am hearing good things about that. It really helped our leadership to see the need and see the need for further education and just how to do that. I do want to thank Mr. Johnson and Ms. Decker for being there. It spoke volumes to have a couple of board members there, and they didn't just stay for the opening, they were there the whole day. So they learned right along with us, so thank you for being there. It was noted and noticed, so thank you. But it really propels us now into this notion of really wrapping our arms and resources more around the student service piece than maybe we have in the past. With all the legislation that's come out that you all are well aware of in school safety and mental health and things like that, we feel like we need to respond to that. You as a board have told us that is pretty much what you'd like to do too. And so Dr. Brake and I sort of got our heads together knowing that this transition was going to take place with us this year, and asked ourselves if we should really look at our organizational structure in a little more detail and maybe move some things around. And so we've done that, and you have that. Your last page of your packet should be this organizational chart. I don't want to go in the weeds with you on this, but I do want to just talk to you about some changes we made, and I really have to thank my team members and Lisa and John David, who will do whatever is necessary. And so we just all got in a room and said, what is it we have to really pay attention to, and who has the talent and ability to handle those things? And so what we landed on was that Chief Academic Officer, the position I'm in now, will hopefully limit itself to what is going on inside that classroom, the teaching and learning that happens inside that classroom. That's really important, the most important thing that happens with and to our kids. But the other, right behind it, is what does that child bring to us from wherever they've come from in their experiences. And so we're terming that kind of the student service piece that thankfully Lisa has agreed to head up. Lisa started in our district giving kids direct student services for years and years, and so she has that talent and ability and was willing to sort of take that back, in addition to her keeping personnel and food service. So you see there that under Lisa's purview now, we will have George Powell in the DPP's office will continue to be there, but we're providing services, and we will be providing more services for our EL and migrant kids that happen outside the classroom. So we hook those students up with medical, dental, clothing, all of those kinds of things that they are at a disadvantage of because they just don't know how to get. So we put that under this umbrella, the school safety, the mental health. We're really wrapping our arms around mental health even more so that when we come to you, we can be intelligent when we come to you with any kind of new request for mental health services. Right now, we don't really have a great vehicle for getting the data to you. We know we're delivering services, but we really need to figure out a better way to gather the numbers just so everybody knows how critical an issue it is. So Lisa will be getting on that for us. The school counselors will be coordinated by Lisa and her office. The youth service centers in the schools will be coordinated. And then our charity partners like Goodfellows and Alma Randolph and things like that will be coordinated by Lisa. Of course, she has that background, and so that's quite a bit more for her to take on, so thank you so much for being willing to do that. And then in the operations piece, John David has agreed to take maintenance, technology, and transportation, those day-to-day operations that are also very critical for us, in addition to the finance that we know is a full-time job. So thankfully, my team members agreed to kind of do this for the restructuring, but it will put our eyes and our resources, I think, where they should be. And so Dr. Brake was supportive of that starting now rather than waiting. So that will be our new structure moving forward. We've shared this with the principals during the retreat this past week, and then we've shared it also with the central office staff so they know kind of who to report to and for what. So we're slowly communicating that out even on a wider basis, but wanted you to at least know what was going on for now.
And this is a whole child approach. If you look at that left-hand column, that's the kids in the classroom, and that middle column is not only the support for the students, but even feeding the students and helping with their health and wellness. Those are all whole child functions. So I think this is actually the optimal way to organize the central office administrative team. that certainly the timing is right for us as we begin to look at ways that we can continue to support. So, looking forward to seeing how this will work, and Lisa is very well equipped, having come through the Youth Service Center outlet, and having worked with food service and having worked with health and the nurses. She will do a great job for us with that.
Can I answer any questions?
Does anybody have any questions? Council? Thank you for your report. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda, and I will accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. So,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Are there any public comments on the agenda items? I thought Jared was going to the microphone. So, seeing none, then we'll move on to Chris with the construction.
How y'all doing? All right, Fouts Playground's moving along, should wrap up right as school started. All the property's ready to go, asphalt will be down by Monday, and so it's looking pretty good. Playground installers actually started this week, so was out there with them today, so looking like we're gonna be in good shape there. Emerson, double tight, we'll rally around it and get it taken care of. There's a few little hang-ups, but we're massaging that as they come in hour by hour, trying to get a few things going. That
It looks at this point like they'll be able to be in
Absolutely.
school
Yes.
as we start. It may not be 100% finished.
the biggest concern is going to be the kitchen, the shipping accident with the 3-compartment sink, which is important for serving out of the kitchen. So we've already worked through some stuff to continue to shuttle transport food like we were originally at Gateway for the first week or two. Got that in place just in case. So we're in good shape for students to be in. It'll be perfect to just for them, but some of the background stuff.
But provided that we have a certificate of occupancy from the planning commission, which we anticipate we will.
Absolutely.
They should be there. If by chance we don't have that, or we don't have the health department approval of the kitchen and the other spaces, we do have a fallback plan with the Boys and Girls Club. Even though we're moving away from that lease, we still will be able to
Everything
accommodate
is
it
still
in
in the.
Yeah, everything's still there.
Still there
So,
like it was before.
We're kind of
we
waiting
got that
on
together.
the official move date, and we're letting the school kind of be ready for that.
The other big piece of that is firearm system and all that's in place, and then they'll be there on Monday. That's usually the biggest hang up on a CO, because they're usually in there the last day, so they're in there a week and a half early, so we're in good shape. For students. So just a few little finishing touches probably when school starts, but student-wise, it won't affect any of the educational space at all, from that perspective. I'm middle, going good. The Strawberry will be ready for that, and we're currently in the process of kind of straightening up that site to make everything safe for staff and students when they start coming in. Trying to turn it more from a construction site to ready for school, but as we planned, we're going to be working in between, with students there. So we're putting up safeguards, barriers, that kind of thing, and working with Mr. Moore to make sure he understands how we have things set up and to try and facilitate all needs. But I feel like we've got a really good plan on that, and so is Mr. Moore. So moving really good there.
And that will be a live construction project, so in case you hear from any, but that they're prepared for that, and that's the way this was basically planned.
Absolutely.
And so we have the marching orders as far as figuring out how to make sure the kids are contained and not, involved in any of the live construction.
We've actually set up temporary wall structures to completely separate the construction zone from the students. There will be some crane work happening with the roof structure. That's the only thing that's a little bit behind where I was hoping before school started over there. So we will be demoing that roof on phase 2 or area B of the project the first couple of weeks of school, but it's all cordoned off and safe, and no real concerns there at this time with that. But so we'll be good there too. I plan on both buildings being turned over to us between the 2nd and the 3rd. is what I'm hoping for. So that gives us plenty of time to get everything else, the rest of the facility set up, so.
So were there issues with the athletic fields in the middle?
No.
'Cause I
There's
had
no
some-
issues, there's no issues with the track. What, there was an area, where they're, of course, we put geothermal well in, so they're drilling, or actually hammering 400-foot pipes, if you will, down. Well, of course, Owensboro having a kind of a higher water table in areas, we actually hit some underground, water, which is actually great long-term. But at one point, it was creating about 40 gallons an hour of water running out of there. Wasn't the fields, it wasn't any services, just we hit groundwater. That's been contained.
There was some
Everything's been-
flooding in that area.
But the field itself is perfect, the athletic fields and everything's great over there.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're putting the geothermal wells around the majority of the turf and track. It's the only green space we have to facilitate. We didn't want to put it under the asphalt because if something were to go wrong, then it adds additional cost down the road. So, any questions? I'll throw a lot at you. A lot going on right now.
Is that a question on the chiller over there?
The chiller at, that actually starts next week.
Next week, okay.
The chiller, the new chillers, plural, will actually go in the first week of September. And then the rental chiller will be out at that point. But all that's on point. We're actually just waiting for delivery of the hardware as well. That's a good thing. I forgot about bringing that up. Thank you.
You said the first.
First week of September is when that chiller is.
A permanent one.
And we have a temporary and
Yeah.
rented one right now that will get us through.
Yeah, I did have one complaint on the temporary chiller. It's too cold at times.
New code.
But yeah, I'll take that this time of year. So, any other questions?
Any other questions on the construction report? Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Moving on, we'll jump into the orders of the treasurer, starting with the financial report.
The treasurer's report in front of you, the beginning cash balance of $25,513,161.77. Receipts in June of $5,526,034.43. Expenditures, $8,114,814.98. Leaving a cash balance of June 30th of $22,995,381.22. So something typical in June, what you see there, we did have our summer payrolls. So we run all of our summer payrolls that go through July because those relate, especially our school level staff and teachers under contract. So that's in that expenditure column for June. Some of that cash will actually go out in July, so.
Oh, okay.
That's why there's a
That's why
balance
it's larger
between
than
our,
normal,
yeah,
so.
revenues and expenditures.
Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions on the financial report? If not, I'll accept the motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Fiscal year 2020 increments.
All right, this usually comes to you with the salary schedule, but we kind of held off just because of the restructuring of the middle schools. We wanted to give the principals and administration at those school levels time to look over it and make sure that the increments were still useful for their needs and met their needs. So the totals did not change. We shuffled some around, but we really let the principals take that and assign them to what their needs were. At the high school, I don't believe there was any changes as far as what they had, but the middle school did restructure what is being offered, so.
All right, if there's no questions on those, I'll accept the motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And consider approval of capital funds request.
So this is a capital funds request for some contingent money that we still have in the Newton Parish project, and it's listed down there, the items that we're requesting it for. So this is just the formal request to KDE to say we would like to use the remaining funds on these projects that we have listed. So if you remember, we did one not long ago for the laptops, the technology, and then this is, so this is directly coming out of that, what is remaining from the bond issue at Newton Parish.
Okay, so the money's already there.
Yes, the cash is sitting there, usually, as part of the process, once the project is wrapped up, which we're wrapping up, but we pretty much know where the costs are, but we can't just, even though we know what the eligible expenses are, we still have to have KDE approve it, after the board approves requesting it for those purposes.
I got you.
So,
Thank you. So accept the motion to approve.
I so move.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approval of the BG1 for Faust Playground.
This is just a revised BG1 for the activity that's going on, so there's nothing new there, just required to be filed with the state. It reflects the bid and everything that was done prior, so.
Accept the motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider approval of personnel action as amended, I guess, right?
All right, we are requesting approval to change the number of workdays for our migrant EL student support assistant from 182 to 193, which will allow her to get started now, start making home visits. We are requesting authorization to change the certified migrant teacher to a classified migrant assistant, and then requesting authorization for a new position for the 2019-20 school year, classified for a safety service assistant at Owensboro Middle School, and then requesting authorization for extended days for the athletic director, Mr. Harper, to 10 extended days.
I'd like to address the safety assistant. Obviously, you know that we approved funding for a school resource officer, and we're working with OPD, and they're in a backlog. And so we anticipate having that position later in the school year. They obviously, depending on who they get, they may have someone that needs to go to the academy or go through, at the very minimum, the SRO training. And so what we felt like was necessary would be for us to have a temporary position until we get that SRO filled. And it's basically a safety officer. Won't be a uniformed officer, won't have arresting powers, will not carry a weapon, but it'll be somebody who's a liaison in our middle school campuses to our SRO. Can look at the perimeters and is trained. We have this currently in the Innovation Academy as a high school, works really well in that setting, and so we felt like until we get the SRO position filled in conjunction with OPD, given their staffing stuff that they have to go through, we just felt like it was necessary for us to have a safety officer on duty, so that will bide us some time and get us through that gap period. So we just ask you to consider it. We'll take it out of the same money. We obviously won't be spending all the money that we have set aside for the SRO until that person's on the job, so we'll basically use the same budget line to pay for this.
And that'd be for the full year.
Well, we will make it a temporary position so that this position will be eliminated once, or laid off, whatever, once the SRO is hired and on duty. So is that correct, Lisa?
We'll have to work on that, because usually if we give them a whole contract for the year.
Yeah, it depends on
That
how
they
we
may
how we
roll
write
into
the
doing something
contract.
else, yes.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of
Right.
contract skills Bill and John David can put
Yes.
together for this. But that's the intent. The intent is for it to be a temporary
Yes.
fix
For
for
the
us to
fall.
have. Yeah, for the fall. Well, yeah, probably we'll likely be employed through the fall. And then we may come
We'll
back and
change that
extend it
right
if that's the case. I hope it's not the case, but if that's the case. So.
Okay. Makes sense. Anybody have any questions about that?
We really know what powers they may have. Said it wouldn't have a weapon or anything like that.
Right.
It's just basically checking ground.
Yeah, there's limits statutorily in what we can do, so that person is really gonna be, walking the perimeter. Obviously, that will train the person, they'll work closely with Rick Latanzio, our SRO. In the same kind of capacity, there is a job description that kind of goes through that you can take a look at, and it hits a lot of those things. Maintaining the integrity of our perimeter, the exit systems, monitoring and assisting, when those kind of situations take place. And, obviously the first call they make in certain circumstances would be to Rick. So but, you know, it's a fine line. We don't want to give them that, you know, there are school districts in the state that are doing their own police force, so to speak. I don't think we want to go there. I think we want to maintain because we have a great law enforcement agency that we partner with, I would prefer to separate that out and just have this person be someone that we, you know, have working for us in that capacity
Right.
rather than in a more robust kind of legal officer kind of capacity.
Just eyes and ears. type
Right.
of, Okay.
Yeah, and it really is just dedicating somebody to doing that full-time, and then being linked in and well-trained.
All right, any other questions regarding that? If not, then I'll accept the motion to approve the personnel items.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider discussion of the evaluation of our superintendent. I will turn it over to Ms. Decker since she worked so hard on putting all this together.
Dr. Brake, to nobody's great surprise, once again received an exemplary rating in all categories, which are strategic leadership, instructional leadership, cultural leadership, human resource leadership, managerial leadership, collaborative, and influential leadership. We all seem to make many of the same comments over and over, because what we do is individually, we each fill out an evaluation form. Dr. Brake fills out a self-evaluation, and then those are compiled together. Over and over, as I looked through these, I read people's words about what an excellent communicator Dr. Brake is, and how strongly he works to support our children, our families, our community, our staff, the board, everyone. He has worked where he can to streamline personnel positions so that we can get more money into providing for our children. I know I personally heard several times over the year during the problems in Frankfurt, how much our teachers appreciated that Dr. Brake supported them and that he made it possible for them to go to Frankfurt and stand up for themselves and for the rest of us. And that he did so without our schools having to close down. Our parents also appreciated that. And not that they filled out an evaluation form, but we consider these things when we're evaluating, you know, things that we've heard in the community. Dr. Brake has excellent managerial skills, as we mentioned, you know, that's part of juggling all the different positions in our organization. It's been an honor to compile this. It always is, to find out that other people have as much respect as I do. And not every school board's lucky enough to be in such tight agreement about their superintendent. I think it was Mr. Edge who said that replacing Dr. Nick Brake is going to be a formidable task. And we all feel that very much. We're glad that Dr. Constant's on board to help us with that. And I said everybody has a copy, and Dr. Brake himself has a copy along with the materials used to compile this.
All right, well, again, publicly, I thank Melissa Decker for all the work and effort that went into this, because this is somewhat of an arduous process and everything, and obviously we know Dr. Brake's leaving, so she could have given herself a little bit of a break, but she didn't, and she didn't give us any of a break, so, you know, so. But the document itself is outstanding, speaks, certainly, I know you've seen it, speaks to the great work that Dr. Brake has done here, and quite honestly, put us in, we kind of looked at it more as almost a summary of the last several
Yeah.
years,
Yeah, exactly.
And you put us in such a great position going forward as we look for a new leader for the district. Facilities are much better than they were, the finances are much better than they were. We feel like morale is much higher. I mean, so many positives that we ought to have. Going to be in a great position going forward, so I certainly appreciate that, but, and appreciate all your work here on this, so.
I'd also like to add many people commented that Dr. Brake doesn't just make us look good in front of our Owensboro Public Schools families, all of our stakeholders here, but on a statewide level, on a national level. You have represented us so well, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you all, appreciate it. It's been a labor of love, and I love the district, and we'll miss it very much, but I do appreciate the kind words and the recognition, and that recognition really is collective of everybody here and the principals that we have, the leadership at the school level, and the support that I have to do the job is outstanding. So, that's exemplary too.
Are there other comments on the evaluation?
And I also will say that not every superintendent is fortunate to work with a great board. I've seen some and heard some unbelievable stories, so you all are to be commended for the way you go about your work and the fact that you are so committed and so supportive of the work that we do, and let us do our job and you all do your job, and that really well-defined role and really well-defined focus is not something that you find everywhere. So I appreciate that very much too.
All right. Well, apparently, I guess I kind of skipped through the discussion part because we're sort of on the way to consider adoption of. So what do I need to do, Bill? Do I need to go back and accept number 4, even though we just discussed it?
Just make a motion to accept number 4 and number 5.
Okay. So with that, I'll accept the motion to approve item number 4, the discussion of the evaluation, and then item number 5, the adoption of the evaluation. So,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. With that, board comments. Dr. Luckett.
Just say it's exciting to get ready to start the new school year. Have lots of new things happening that are exciting. Not to heap praise on somebody, but I think our evaluation is very appropriate. And I think that his comment that he's got lots of great people working underneath him is also appropriate. So I think that we're, like Mr. Edge said, I think we're in a really good position, and I think that it's a very attractive school district to a lot of people. So.
Mr. Johnson?
Just want to thank Dr. Brake. I mean, I always go by vision. He's got a vision. And when, you have a leader with a vision, he'll always go in the right direction. And I appreciate all the hard work he did and is continuing to do for this district. And it's evident when you look around, there's good excitement, and I feel excitement throughout the district. The administrative, all the work that his administrators do, they work very, very hard, and because, they see the vision as well. And I just want to, thank him for all the work he's done and all the work that he continues to do. And exemplary, he's exemplary in every area when I look at it. And I just want to thank him. Can't thank him enough. So, appreciate it.
Ms. Decker?
I think I've said enough.
Thank you.
And I'll just have, one comment here is getting excited about school starting, I guess. Kind of feels like the summer's over, and all that stuff too, so.
No, you're right, and
fall
I
for
did
this time of
fail.
year.
If I could make one,
Yeah,
I
I'm
did
sorry.
fail in my remarks to make sure that opening day is August 6th. And as usual, we will have our, all staff, the only time of the year everybody's together, our convocation will take place at Owensboro High School in the gym at 10 a.m. And we'll have a little program and
On the
get everybody
6th.
revved up. Yeah, so
On the
we,
6th, okay.
yes, on the 6th. So we love to have board members there if you're able to stop by. And obviously, we'll be introduced. Whether you're there or not, you'll be introduced. But we certainly invite you all to attend that and to share in the opening day festivities.
Good deal. Well, like I said, the kids love going and everything, but still at the
Yeah.
same
Oh,
time,
it's a
I kind of
double-edged
feel like
sword.
it's
That's right.
winding down. So one comment I'll make, and maybe just to think about later, and I know it's a somewhat trivial, but at the same time, as a school board, I feel like, our customers are the parents and everything of these kids, so we want to have good customer service. So for me personally, I spent about 20 minutes yesterday trying to find a list of school supplies. So again, I know it sounds small, but at the end of the day, I go to the main website, can't find anything there. Go to the school website, can't find anything there. I called the central office. They said, check the school Facebook page. I checked there, called the school. So it's that ought to be something that's, relatively simple, or we can have out from school. We ought to be
You're right
right there.
about the website and the availability of information. That's something that Jared's been working on this summer. Hopefully that's something that we can address in the coming weeks to try to deal with. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and Rachel.
Duly noted for
Yeah.
sure, because
Good
I
point.
agree with you there.
Rachel at Best Play there at Sutton got it to me real quick and everything. After I talked to her, so it wasn't, a bad thing, but
Yeah.
it should be easy.
No, websites need to be easier
So-
than they are for us here. And there are some issues that we've dealt with from the state perspective with making sure that it is
Federal.
accessible. Federal perspective from making sure the accessibility, which limits some of the things we can put on.
Gotcha.
But we've got to figure out how to get around that and make sure that it's accessible to people that need it. So,
Good deal. Well, I appreciate that. And so with that, are we, Mr. Wilson, are we going into closed
Yes,
session?
we do need to go.
Okay, so we're going into closed session.
No action.
Or actually, I'm sorry, I'll take a motion to move into closed session under provision KRS 61.18. So,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.